For the May monthly meetup for GEG NZ. So my name's Andrew Corney. I'm a teacher at Tauranga Boys College. We've tried to restart these monthly meetings, particularly after lockdown. Thought it was a useful way to keep in touch with our online community out there, and joined today by Jordan, Karla and Toni. So welcome, ladies. Now, as it seems to be the way that happens with these things, we start off with a bit of an update. Now, the main thing that we want to share with you this year is the Innovator Academy. So there's usually, I think, 6 per year, and this is where I first met Jordan and Toni at Sydney 19 last year. Awesome experience, one of the best professional learning that I've done, and I guess this is one of the things that's bringing this group together, that a number of us have been through these Innovator Academies. Well, due to lockdown and the COVID crisis, that they are no longer happening in person or face-to-face, but they are happening online. So it's a great opportunity if you have been thinking about going on to one of these Innovator Academies and money has been a barrier. Like, we had to travel to Sydney and put ourselves up in a hotel for a few nights. But the online version is obviously going to be free. So you still need to go through the same application process, and we'll put up a link to some more details in this post. But yeah, really great opportunity to do an online Innovator Academy. So a few updates from me. The first one is basically about Google Meet. Here we're using Google Meet at the moment, and it's going to continue to have these premium features, these extended features for all education domains up until September 20th. So if you've got used to recording Google Meets, which we're doing now, maybe live streaming, which a few of us have done, then those features will still be available to us until September the 20th. The other thing I wanted to briefly mention about Google Meet was that all these awesome add-ons that have come about, and I've just got I'll very quickly share my screen with you and show you the range of add-ons that are available in the store. Now, hopefully one person's going to say, yes, we can see your screen. Always good to check if people can see your screen. Do I get a, yep, you can see my screen from anyone?
Yep, you're good.
There we go. Woohoo, always important. Now, this is a great, I did this in one of my online classes. I gave it the, okay, I'm going to talk for the next 10 minutes and explain this task as I show through with my screen. And of course, I hadn't shared my screen, and these kids were going, nah, sir, didn't see any of that. So always good to check to see if your screen is being shared. So here is the Chrome store. And it's just got, if you just search for Meet, it's got all these extensions that you can add to Meet to give it some extra functionality. Now, if you're having trouble choosing, here's a couple of recommended ones. So Nod, great for that virtual hand up if someone wants to answer a question, or some virtual thumbs up. Meet Attendance, this was developed by Clay Smith from London 19, so he was an Innovator Academy in London last year. Really good coder. He's got a number of extensions on the Chrome Web Store, and this is really good. It just, you click on a button and it will capture the attendees at that meet. So you think of a classroom, you want to record who was there, you can do it in one click. And then, of course, our Google Meet grid view, that was a favorite when we started our online classes. But we see now that Google has actually given the ability to have a 4x4 grid natively in the app. The things that I wanted to demonstrate, and crikey, we're going to have a bit of a fail forward here, and this didn't work in practice. So I want to try and share some mobile stuff with you. And so I'm going to join the meeting with my phone, because these mobile things that I've just started out with are really awesome. So hopefully we are not going to get a lot of echoiness, which it sounds like we are, because I can hear myself. So I'll stop talking and I'll just show you. Or maybe you can just give me a quick thumbs down, girls, if it's just absolutely terrible, and I'll stop it. Oh, Tony's giving me it's a little bit sketchy. All right, we will stop it, and we might do the old school way of holding the camera up to the webcam. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is this really cool app called Google Drive. No, I'll show you that later. The one I want to show you is Google Arts and Culture. And
yeah, put screen share off again and go from your cam.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, good assistance there. Stop my screen share and go from the camera. It looks awesome from my perspective. Thanks for the heads up. How about now? You can see my screen, my two screens, my phone screen as well. I'm waiting for some help here.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, good. There we go. Okay, so old school screen sharing on a phone. This is this app. It's called Mobile Arts and Culture. Click on the button here to take a photo. And one of the options is called Art Transfer. So you do that and it basically takes you to a fairly stock standard camera mode. So I'm going to take a photo of myself. And then it allows you to, down the bottom there, do a whole lot of styles. So it'll change to the style of a famous artist. So if we look at here, Munch's Scream. So that's my portrait as that famous picture, Van Gogh's portrait. So a really nifty little tool there to maybe get engaged students thinking about using different styles. And the other one that I will... No, I'll leave it there. That other one is a little bit more involved due to my online screen sharing. So put a couple of links in the post. Always good to get these new ideas, these new apps as they come out. All right, the focus of this brief meeting today after the updates, we wanted to pose this question. Now that we've come out of lockdown here in New Zealand, what are some of the things that we've learned from lockdown that we want to keep? So we'll go around the table, the virtual table that is, and the ladies will just give you a quick introduction. So Toni, over to you. Things that you've learnt that you are going to keep doing.
So for me, I was in a bit of a different role. I'm out of the classroom now and I facilitate digital technologies and digital fluency around the country. And so, you know, our mode sort of shifted into supporting teachers with their distance learning. So what I really noticed, having worked with a lot of teachers who were in this this place of trying to catch up and play catch up, was they were really surprised, maybe not surprised, but really excited by the engagement of their kids. I think, you know, we always talk about a tool being a vehicle for the learning, but it was kind of flipped on its head this time around and the tool became important. And the question around that was, how do we actually use a tool to connect with our kids? So it sort of gave another element to the classroom. And a lot of teachers were like, I'm definitely taking everything back. And that for me was really exciting. Was, you know, I think I saw something on Twitter that was like, if you had asked teachers 2 months ago to change to digital learning overnight, that they would have said absolutely not, no way I could have done that. And then they did. And that was the exciting part, you know, rapid change can actually happen. And yeah, it enhanced what they already were doing in their workflow. A lot of them now plan online and things like that, which I guess in our Google world we take for granted that we already do, but for some this was a real game changer. And yeah, just looking at the ways to deliver and receive learning in different ways, which may actually appeal to different kinds of students. So it was really that shift, that pedagogical shift for me that I saw happening by force, I guess, that really got me excited. And I really hope going forward that people, the ministry, everyone sees the power in this and chucks a bit more funding at it and realizes that it is quite important going forward, right? So yeah, that was my experience. So I hope we keep a lot. And yeah, it's just good to get back into schools and be helping teachers again and everyone's got this lens that they're even more excited to do it. So
sweet, thank you, Toni. On down to the middle of the North Island, Jordan. What are some things that that you're going to keep, that the teachers in your school are going to keep doing after this isolation period?
Cool. Hello, I'm Jordan. I teach at National Park School in National Park. I have the junior class, so years 0 to 2 students. We went from not using digital at all to using and loving and just wanting more from the lockdown, which was amazing. We had heaps of skeptical parents that just thought, oh my gosh, they're just going to like play it for games and be mind numbing and stuff. And then I guess I developed with assistance of other teachers at my school, a Google Site platform for home learning, with like meaningful content and things like that, with opportunities for them to create their own learning at home. And parents were just like, oh, cool. It's not just like Minecraft or Fortnite. And that's definitely helped us now plan, now that we're back at school, like further digital experiences, and they're more like forthcoming, and it's sort of given us the momentum to like keep going, which is really cool. And we're doing a lot of flipped learning in class, which is what we were doing over the lockdown period, which is really helping. So it's all been real positive. And I guess for me as well, just showing, and other teachers would see this as well now, that little kids, even though they are little, can actually do this too, which is really great. So yeah, it's been really cool. I've loved it. I've loved this whole time. I'm actually a little bit sad to be back in the classroom, to be honest.
And that is an uber geek. And lastly, Karla, share your experience with us, the things that you're going to keep doing.
Totally. So I'm Karla. I am down here in chilly central Otago, near the bottom of the South Island. I am feeling a bit old school. So I was a Sydney innovator in 2014 while very heavily pregnant, and I now work as two jobs, two different hats. I work as a digital trainer for a really awesome company, and I also run a bullying prevention charity around the country. So lockdown has been crazy busy. And I took it as a parent. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and then also working with schools all over the country. And I think the biggest lesson and the feedback that we got that we'll take on moving forward is that teachers really enjoyed the choice of the time and space and focus of their own professional learning. And for too long, there hasn't been that flexibility and there hasn't been that scope. And I think I heard synchronous and asynchronous thrown around consistently during lockdown. But the biggest lesson that I'm taking away is that how important asynchronous learning is. You know, the opportunity to use choice boards, that students are taking ownership for their learning and they're identifying what they're doing and when they're doing it, and then really taking that blended approach into the classroom. And as teachers, thinking about what that means for your own professional learning and jumping into a 1-hour session or jumping in online to connect with other educators and learn from that. And then the big thing I learned as a parent is just the idea about being kind to yourself and to your children, and being really grateful to teachers who are working really hard. You know, the teachers that we had the privilege of working with, and my son and daughter's teacher, just committed so much love and care to this time, and it really got them a chance to get to know my kids better and my kids to get to know their teachers better. And so though it was a really big challenge, there were some beautiful blessings to come out of as well. So they're my big learnings.
Awesome, thank you, Karla. And I think you had a bit of a tip for us, well, for schools in terms of managing Chromebooks. What should schools be looking out for if they've got unmanaged?
Totally. So I feel like I should be offering some steak knives or something, kind of an informative thing. But, I've been working with a super cool guru who has taught me so much about the admin console that I didn't know, that I kind of thought was all this magical stuff I had no power over. And so being able to have your Chromebooks, whether they're BYOD, but using, you know, your school domain as their Gmail addresses, or whether they are school devices, when they're managed, you have all of this awesome behind the scenes opportunity to really customize and personalize them for your setting. And there's some great opportunities from Google to get this funded. So to be getting someone to come in and support you with learning about the admin console, learning about the benefits of managed devices so that you can make that call for your school, whether it's going to work for you. But Google want to know, hey, where in the country are there devices that are unmanaged, and where is the interest in learning about this? So awesome chance for some free PD. And so if you want to get amongst it and you've got unmanaged devices, or you know where there's lots, then we want to hear from you.
Sweet, awesome. Now, hey, any Q&A, any other further comments, questions you want to have while we're here? Again, I think for me, you know, the great benefit of these little catch-ups is it just adds to that toolbox, isn't it? Add to that toolbox of ideas and toolbox of tools. One thing that I'm interested in is the demand for face-to-face PD now. So, you know, a few years ago, I remember particularly the GAFE Summit, huge, hundreds of teachers would go up there to Auckland, or, you know, then they started getting out to Christchurch, Whangarei. Last year was really small, and this year, nothing. So we have this little event here in the Bay of Plenty, like a spark shop. You know, we had 30 teachers come on a Thursday afternoon, and just wondering, well, is there still a demand for the face-to-face? And would it be worth trying to scale up our little event to invite others from around the region, around the country? What are your thoughts, ladies?
I think people are always keen, right, for that kind of, it's just location, time. But like you said, Karla, echoing your sentiments, I think there's, you know, we did these lives at 1 o'clock every day during the lockdown, and we had 80 teachers sign up, and we didn't even think that would be a possibility. Like, we didn't think that would happen. And it was amazing just to see the people who were so keen to learn, and how easy it is relatively to sign up and give an hour of your time from the comfort of your own home was for free, you know, was amazing. And I think, you know, it didn't cost me anything because I was at home anyway. And yeah, I wonder if there's a chance to explore. Yes, I totally love the passionate place of face-to-face because you can really connect, but I wonder if there's more in this space that we could explore.
I think because we've experienced it now all online, people are just like, yeah, keen, give me more. And like right now in this particular moment, I reckon that should be something that we're trying to do, especially seeing we're still in level 2. So it's not like we could go out and have a level 1, you know, hui, but online we could like connect tomorrow, you know.
I think that's a really awesome piece of feedback. And I work with lots of little schools, and they have to travel a lot, you know, to get to the kind of PD that they want to attend. And I mean, some of my favorite PD has been at unconferences. Like, they're my absolute favorite, because it's the chance to learn from people who don't see themselves as experts, you know, people who are there at the coalface doing the most incredible stuff and having no idea of just how awesome it is and how much there is to learn from them. So, you know, if we're looking at something face-to-face, I just love us to move away from that expert at the front, you know, like talking for an hour and you thinking, my gosh, I could never do that. Like, where on earth do I get the time to do that? And instead having teachers and practitioners who are just sharing some of those things that can make a real difference, and that you don't have to spend 10 hours going away and learning from scratch. So, yeah, I think there's definitely space for face-to-face, and I love it. But I totally take Jordan's point. It's not right now. And what the online offers is that chance for some of those little schools, the rurally isolated people, to connect and be part of this learning that they normally don't have a chance to get. So, yeah, how do we balance them both?
Yeah, and the other advantage of online, you know, you get them through your inbox, don't they? This conference is happening on, you know, there was one that was happening this weekend with some really awesome speakers, is the fact that it's rewindable. You know, that you can go back and see a speaker when it's suitable for you. You don't actually need to be there in the at the time. And I remember a couple of years ago not going to the ULearn conference, but following the hashtag not at ULearn tag on Twitter, and then just still adding to that to your basket of tools, isn't it? Yeah. So that idea of, well, you actually don't need to be physically there, but I guess it's that balance. There's something about, obviously, I found it coming back to school this week in the classroom of boys. Well, I'd seen all these kids. I'm a year 9 and 10 teacher. I'd seen all these year 9 boys throughout the 6 weeks in our sort of face-to-face, both virtual face-to-face. But yes, there's just something about being physically in the same room, and particularly with teenage boys, the odor as well. So
it's like an energy, isn't it? Because as soon as you switch off that call, you're like alone in your house with all this like excitement. So yeah, I think if we can start virtual, and then once, you know, restrictions let us, we can start to think about something like that.
I also think we should maybe do like more promoting, because being at a rural school, like I'm in the middle of nowhere, it's really hard to like know what's out there. And in Taumata Nui, where I live, there's nothing. Like, people don't know because they just don't know.
And I'd be interested in Jordan's thoughts as well, being in the classroom. One of the things that I noticed that I loved is teachers were so much more open about exactly what they wanted. So if they were jumping on a webinar and we were talking through Google Classroom, or, we were looking at some options with, Tour Builder or something really cool, they were like, so do you know what I want to know how to do? I want to know how to do this. I want to know how this works. I want to know these settings. I want to know how to apply it to this. I want to come out with that. And so the PD and the support was so tailored, rather than, I don't know about you girls and guys, but I've been to some training and I've left and I've just kind of gone, I've got no idea what I was supposed to learn, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't what just happened.
It's that just-in-time learning. We talk about it in our classrooms. We talk about doing that with our kids, and actually we had such a authentic context for our teachers to be learning. And I think that was the key, was capturing that just-in-time and giving them exactly what they wanted. Well, that was what I found from our facilitation perspective as well.
Yeah, and it was relevant to what was going on. So I provided a lot of stuff around Seesaw, and that's because people were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to share our learning? Boom, straight in there. So it's just finding what you need.
Jordan, just on that notion of spreading the word, I'm involved in this other little regional group of trying to provide professional learning opportunities for teachers. And our big challenge, we keep on talking about at all these monthly meetings that we have, how do we reach teachers? Because you send an email to school@school.nz, and it goes to the receptionist and she doesn't know who's it. It's what's the best way to connect to those teachers? Like, we've started up a Facebook group which has grown to about 50 members, but not everyone's on Facebook. What's some other ways that teachers can make those links?
Personally, I've made a lot of links recently over Instagram, which people don't often think of, but Instagram does have a huge teacher following presence, and it's growing hugely. So if that could be another way. There's Twitter. You've got emailing, but like you said, people don't check emails. Facebook, I don't know, just harassment, constant harassment, but in a kind, I find if you offer something for free, come and hear about this, you'll get this at the end, people are like, oh yeah, cool. But if it's just oh, I'm sharing this really cool tip, it's not, I don't know. Yeah, they need an incentive.
Having the recording sent to them if they miss it is really key. I think that was what we got. We got 80 sign-ups, 40 turned up, 40 still wanted the recording sent in. Why not? We'd already recorded it. It already happened. It wasn't costing us anything. And people were just so thankful for that. So it's like a resource to be able to go back to every time.
Yeah, I think also it's important, it's that meta school. If you can get a kid to be able to search for information themselves, to go and find their own answers, that's so much more powerful than them relying on you for answers. And I guess if you can, those personal learning networks, PLNs, that was a bit of a good acronym 8 or 10 years ago. But for me, that time I signed up to Twitter, that was the start of just those ripples out of making those connections. So maybe it's hard to reach the people who don't want to be reached, but those people who do want to some new ideas, new tools, whatever, it's allowing them or showing them the different pipelines, I suppose.
And I think trying not to consistently have that one-size-fits-all model. A lot of the teachers that I've worked with who are incredible teachers are still feeling really left behind by a lot of the technology. And a whole staff meeting or a really big hooey is not the place to be I'm sorry, Gmail, what? What is this drive you speak of? And so we need to be going back to having different options. Some of the best PD that I've ever had are those ones, for absolute beginners. We're going from woe to go, the why, the how, the what. We're going through it at a pace that's not full of acronyms and full of jargon and making you feel really scared about it. So I think that a lot of the teachers who are still scared of this, they're not really catered for within those big group sessions. And the other thing that I really like is that there's been some trends about, that toilet or bathroom PD, a tip or two. Google do it. You would have seen it when you're in the offices there, and they've got these tips or these cool things behind the door. If you can start to capture some when there's nothing else to read, then you might be able to have some different ideas that they could be jumping in for another time. So yeah, I think being a bit creative and being quite thoughtful I wonder whether we've forgotten about that a little bit.
Learning in the loo. Yeah, I've tried learning in the loo in our school. Yeah, that's good. Hey, all right, team. Sounds like we might be wrapping up. Any last minute questions or comments, plugs? Hey, there's this great podcast. Everyone.
Wow. Speaking of another way to learn online, I'll just share my screen so you can just get a visual on where I'm going with that. 2 podcasts that we've been working on over lockdown is one of them is called Master of One, and Laura is a fellow Sydney 19 innovator, and we've been interviewing Kiwi teachers who have done educational research, a master's or a PhD, and we've really unpacked it, and we're trying to come up with practical tips out of their research. We've got six episodes, I think, at the moment, and we've got a couple in the pipelines. And the other one, that was Master of One. The other one, there they are, 6 episodes and a couple. And the other one that I've got going on at the moment is called the 10-Minute Techie. And that is 10 minutes every Tuesday, a podcast where you can listen about a tool. We've done problem-based learning, Seesaw, Google for Education, lots just little tidbits, and I try and give 3 top tips and a teacher quote of how that teacher's used it in the classroom. So try and keep it really practical, short, while you're out on a walk or doing the dishes or something. But, podcasts, there's heaps of educational podcasts out there, and I think it's really cool to start seeing some come from New Zealand, because often they're not in a New Zealand context. So I think podcast is another way that we can reach people.
Sweet. And all those details will be just down here, eh? Post it in the comments just down here. So we'll make sure we get all those links. Hey, well, look, thanks so much for your time. We are reaching out to the GEG NZ community. It's a rolling host. So we are looking for a volunteer for June and some guests. So if you're out there, GEG NZ, make sure you sign up and volunteer to host June's edition. But from us here from May, it's a warm goodbye. We'll see you next time.